Chapter 9. The Global Tour. The Gulfstream G700 didn't feel like an airplane. It felt like a penthouse that happened to be traveling at Mach zero point 0.9. Elena sat in a cream leather swivel chair, watching the coastline of Long Island disappear beneath a blanket of clouds. The cabin was silent save for the soft clink of silver against china. "Champagne?" the flight attendant asked. Her name was Sarah. She had signed a tighter NDA than the Pentagon staff. "Water," Elena said. "Champagne," Julian corrected, not looking up from his laptop. "We're celebrating." Sarah poured the Krug 08 into a crystal flute and vanished into the galley. Elena took the glass. She looked at Julian. He was wearing a cashmere sweater that probably cost more than her student loans. He looked relaxed, almost domestic, if domesticity involved billion-dollar mergers and altitude. "What are we celebrating?" Elena asked. "Escape velocity," Julian said. He closed his laptop. "We are officially outside the jurisdiction of normal people problems." He stood up and walked over to her. The plane banked slightly, turning east toward the Atlantic. "Milan first," he said, sitting on the ottoman in front of her. "The OmniStream deal. The Italians are stubborn. They want to keep their brand identity." "They're sentimental," Elena said, her strategist brain engaging automatically. "We promise them autonomy in the contract, but we structure the board so we have veto power on budget. They keep their name, we keep the money." Julian smiled. "Exactly. You play the empathetic American, I play the corporate reaper. We'll have the deal signed by dinner." Milan, 48 hours later. The meeting took place in a palazzo near the Duomo. The frescoes on the ceiling were from the 16th century. The tension in the room was entirely modern. Elena watched Julian work. He was brutal. He dismantled the Italian CEO's arguments with surgical precision, exposing every weakness in their supply chain, every dip in their Q4 earnings. He made them feel small. Then Elena stepped in. She was warm. She spoke about legacy, about heritage, about partnership. She offered them a lifeline. By 6 p.m., Ethelgard Holdings had acquired OmniStream for 15% under the asking price. That night, they dined at a private table at Krakow. "You were magnificent," Julian told her, swirling a Barolo. "I felt bad for him," Elena admitted. "Ricci looked like he was going to cry." "Ricci is a dinosaur," Julian said dismissively. "We did him a favor. We bought his obsolescence." He reached across the table and took her hand. "Forget Ricci. Let's go shopping tomorrow. You need a wardrobe that speaks Italian." The next morning was a blur of Via Montenapoleone. Julian didn't look at price tags. He looked at fabrics. Loro Piana Vicuña, silk from Como, custom leather boots. "It's too much," Elena whispered as a sales assistant packed a third trunk of clothes. "It's armor," Julian corrected. "In our world, Elena, you are what you wear, and I want you to be bulletproof." Dubai, 72 hours later. The heat in Dubai was a physical weight, but they never really felt it. They moved from the air-conditioned jet to the air-conditioned limousine to the air-conditioned royal suite at the Burj Al Arab. The suite was 2 stories of gold leaf, velvet, and marble. The view from the bedroom looked out over the Palm Jumeirah, an island built from sand and hubris, defying the ocean itself. Elena stood on the balcony, the warm desert wind whipping her hair. It was 2 a.m., but the city was blazing with light. She felt a strange sensation in her chest. It was a mix of awe and vertigo. She was so high up, so far from Queens, so far from the person she used to be. Julian came out onto the balcony. He was wearing a silk robe holding 2 glasses of iced vodka. "The world looks different from here, doesn't it?" he asked, handing her a glass. "It looks small," Elena said. "It is small," Julian said. "For us." He stood behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist, pulling her back against his chest. He rested his chin on her shoulder. "Do you miss it?" he asked. "Miss what?" "Your old life, the subway, the budget meetings, the morality. Elena thought about it. She thought about the stress of rent, the indignity of waiting in line, the constant gnawing fear of not being enough. No, she said honestly. I don't miss any of it. Good, Julian whispered against her ear. Because you can never go back. You know that, right? You're one of us now. You've tasted the blood. The words should have been ominous, but wrapped in his arms, looking down at a city built on impossible money, they felt like a baptism. I don't want to go back, Elena said. She turned in his arms, looking up at him. I want to go higher. Julian smiled. The desert wind howled around the tower, but in the circle of his arms it was perfectly still. Then let's go higher, he said. He led her back inside, the gold doors sliding shut behind them, sealing them into their beautiful, airtight world. They were untouchable, or so they thought.